And we were talking earlier about that world of difficult conversations and how you might address having difficult conversations. And I mean, it must be difficult for the doctors as well.
Yeah, if I look at it from maybe if I flip it, look at what we would teach doctors to do.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to see.
No.
So the first thing is, with all that the conversation is going to be more difficult if the person you're talking to has no level of expectation of what it is you're about to tell them.
Yeah.
Okay. So this goes, because the parallel is if you as somebody who's got a diagnosis of cancer then have to go and talk to a family member or a loved one. Okay. How much do they know? If this is coming out of the blue, then that's going to be a harder thing to take than if there is a degree of expectation.
Yes.
If they know you've been seeing doctors, if they know you've been unwell, if there is a degree of realisation. So often when you're sort of breaking what we would say is a difficult news, you start by saying, okay, where we are. So so you've had some tests, we know these are, and we're here to talk about the results.
Yes.
And then you break it over a few sentences. You say, well, I'm afraid, we hoped it would be this, but it's not. We've discovered it's that. And the impact and the diagnosis is A and B. So what we do is you break it down into little chunks of information. And so you give a little bit of information, then you wait, and you're just constantly looking at the other person to see how it's impacting on them.
Yes, okay.
And then after you've break the news, you stop and you wait see if there's any reaction, or wait to see whether there's lots of cues as to whether somebody is listening to you or gone into their own head to process things. So whether it's eye contact, whether it's nodding heads, whether it's saying yes, like you said to it, yes. There are lots of things that show somebody's still with me and they're listening. But you have to, when you've delivered, there is a tendency often if you deliver big difficult news, to then follow it up quickly with what you think is better news, to sort of kind of make it better.
Sandwich effect.
Yes. So it's like, here's the difficult bit, but it's okay because we can do this.
Yeah.
But the problem is you have to recognise somebody, when you've given them difficult news, that's why I say you have to respect these are difficult conversations, they're difficult to hear. You have to allow space, a silence. You have to allow somebody to hear it. And they have to be ready to hear the next steps of what's happening now. Does that make sense? So even when you're going and talking to a family member, if they're not ready for it, you need to sort of help them to get on the same page and then tell them, but then allow them to have whatever their response might be. Because they will have a response.
Yes.
And before they then also have a response towards you, which is usually one of great care and love and wanting to support.
It's interesting you're saying about how you try to ease people in, and obviously it's such a difficult thing to ease somebody into the world of cancer, world of being sick and things. And is there a difference for doctors in communicating that when it is a young patient or when it is somebody, because you said about you might know you've been for a couple of tests, because I can only think from my own experience this. I remember having a biopsy. I looked up what that was, that decision, but I still didn't have any idea that it was going to be something. I even drove myself to the hospital, so I'm sat there on my own. So is it one of those things of doctors from their side having to be very aware that actually this is gonna it's not like that person's been smoking for 50 years and.
As you get older, I speak now for myself. As you get older, you become more aware and maybe more accepting that these things happen. When you're younger, it's hard to think that this is going to happen to you.
Yes, yeah.
And it can feel unfair, and it can feel all sorts of emotions, anger and things towards it. But I think a lot of young people will not necessarily be expecting that diagnosis to come. So, and the doctors will be very aware of that. And it is harder. It is a harder conversation.
Yes, yeah. And as you say, the having the space for you to then process it might not happen straight away. You might have one reaction, then it might happen days or weeks after and things. So